Hi, I'm Bonnie Holub from ArcLight Technologies. This video is part of a series of videos based on Mathew North's book, Data Mining for the Masses, published by Global Text Press, copyright 2012, and available for $39 and 39 cents from Amazon.com. This video is made with permission from Mathew North. RapidMiner is a text and data mining tool that regularly appears at the top of surveys as the leading open source tool for these applications. It is available on the web at rapid-i.com. I have brief 5 to 6 minute videos on how to install RapidMiner, run the online tutorials, and add extensions on my YouTube channel. Search YouTube for ArcLight, A-R-C-L-I-G-H-T Technologies. Each chapter in the Data Mining for the Masses book shows an example data mining process on a sample set. This is Chapter 5, Association Rules. The video for Chapter 4 shows where to find the examples from this book on the web. So the first thing we have to do here is get into our RapidMiner design perspective, and we need to import the repository that we're going to work on for Chapter 4. So you'll remember from the Chapter 4 video that I downloaded all of the examples online, and now it's time for me to open up a new repository. So I choose Import, a CSV file. It's a comma separated value file, and I have a place where I keep all my data mining for the masses chapters, and there's the Chapter 5 data set. Say next, and remember, since it's comma separated values, I have to choose comma, and I can go on and say next. And then at this point, I need to point out that name is in the first row here. And say next. And then next. And I'm going to say where to put this. I'm going to name it Chapter 5. Okay, so now it has looked at these, and you can see what's in this data set. There are 3,483 examples. They all loaded in. There were 12 regular attributes. This was data from a survey that people took in a community where there was an online survey. So we have the elapsed time that they took them to take the survey, how much time they had spent in the community, whether they were long-time, medium, or short-range members, the gender of the person taking it, whether they worked outside the home, their age. And then there's a number of these things which are zeros and ones. Do they consider themselves a member of family-based activities? The goal of this is to say, are there some people who are in multiple groups? They're active in social clubs, and they're also active in political organizations, or they're active in religious organizations, and they are also active in family organizations, so that a community planner could approach these families and say, both your kids' hockey team and your social club want to work on an event together, so this is something that I expect you'd be more interested in participating in, because both of those organizations, of which you've already become a part, are interested. So all of these ones and zeros means that they answered yes or no. 1 is yes, 0 is no, to participating in family organizations. And some of the examples that they give are Big Brothers and Big Sisters, or children's recreational or sports leagues, genealogy groups. This is whether they're in hobby-based organizations like amateur radio or a motorcycle or a bicycle racing club. This is a social club. Community organizations. This is political organizations, lobbying efforts, grassroots action groups. These are professional groups. For example, local chapter meetings of the law or medical society, or a small business owners group. These are religious groups, whether they're involved in the faith community. And then the last one out here is a support group. So this is things like Alcoholics Anonymous, or an anger management group. So we can look at this from the data view here, seeing all this, and we can look at it in the metadata view, and we note that we didn't have any missing data in any of these columns. So we've satisfied ourselves that the data has imported correctly. So now we have to go on to the next step here. First of all, we're going to go to the design perspective, and we are going to only use their participation based on communities. So if we go back up here and say, here's our import of our data, then the next thing we want to do is go over here to operators. And I'm going to make this so that you can see it a little better here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select only the attributes that we need. So when I type that in this window, I see the select attributes operator comes up, and I bring it onto the screen, and I slide it over so it doesn't overlap, and I can connect these two. So now I need to tell it exactly which attributes I want to select. So when I click on select attributes, and I can say escape to have that go away, I have that extra line. When I click on select attributes, it says, what are you doing over here to filter them? Right now I'm filtering all of them, but I don't want all of them. I want a subset of them. So now I click in this window to select which ones I want to be selected. And this is where I choose only the ones that are related to the groups. Family, and I click here to have it go to the other side become a selected attribute. Hobbies goes over. Political goes over. Professional, religious, social group, and support group. And for the purposes of this analysis, I'm not going to pay attention to how old the person was that filled out the form, how long it took them, how long they've lived in the community, their gender, or whether they work outside the home. But when I say this, now I can go ahead and I can run this, and we can double check to see that only those things appear in each record. So each of these are a transaction record, that is a completed survey by one person. Now we're going to use the frequency pattern FP growth operator, but I happen to know that we can't use that on numeric values. We need to transfer this. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So going back to our design perspective, we need to select an operator that will change it from numeric. And we're going to change it from numeric to binominal. Now, if you're reading through this quickly, you might think that you read the word binomial with a long O, binomial, versus binominal with a short O, more of an ah sound. A binomial is an equation with two variables. This is not what we're talking about here. Here, binominal means it can be a name with two values, either numeric or character. And this is something that you need to be aware of when you're working in RapidMiner. So we're switching from numeric to binominal. Put it up here. And I'm going to get myself a little more room here so that I can spread these out and you can see them. Let's do this. And there. Okay, so now when I go into here, I need to tell it how to switch things. I want all of them switched, so I'm going to leave it just the way it is right there, and I'm going to run it just to see to make sure that it works. So now when I look at the results from the example set numeric to binomial, notice that the zeros and ones have been changed into true and false. So now I can use the operator I've been wanting to use, which is the FP growth operator. And I see that there it is. And I can bring it right in here and put it on this line so that the line gets thick when I drop it on. That means put it in that calculation, the string. And that will give me the frequency pattern. Now notice that I need to get both the EXA and the FRE, which is the frequency pattern, hooked up to this receptor so that I can see both of them after I run. Oops, I've just switched it by accident. Here's what you do. Go back to the first one, click on the output you want, go to the second one, And if you ever do this earlier, when I was an early user in RapidMiner, I would get caught like this. You can always say escape and get rid of that, but I'm going to connect this to the second output here. That way we're going to get both the results and the frequency matrix that you want to get out of it. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. This is the frequency matrix that I was just talking about. What this says is that we have a number of people who are involved in religious organizations. There's a support for that. And there's a number of people involved in family organizations, and some that are in professional organizations, some that are in hobbies. But look at this. A number of people who are involved in religious organizations are also involved in family organizations. And there's also overlap between the people who are involved in religious organizations and hobby organizations. This should ring a bell with you if you've ever bought anything on a website like Amazon.com and they say, people who bought this also bought. Well, this is how they come up with it. They determine these rules so that when you buy one of these things, they can recommend the other. An application for a community website would say, well, you're signing up for religious organizations. Do you know that we also have these family sports teams and we have these hobbies you might be interested in? That's how it would get used in this kind of a application. Okay, now we can take this one step further. Let's go back to the design perspective. And I'm going to add one more operator in here, which is create association. Okay. There is the create association rules. And we drop this on this box coming from the FRE, the frequency matrix calculation out of the FP growth. So if I just scroll down a little bit, you can see that it comes out of FRE, goes into create associations, and then goes up here to the output. So now I can run it and I can get the association rules. Ooh, but no association rules are found. Are we worried? Well, let's look at why this might be happening in our system. If you go back and you look at the FP growth, you see that there is a value here called minimum support. In other words, this is the minimum support necessary in order for a frequency item or a set to be found. This is the default, 0.95, and that's pretty high, but it's something that you might want to work with here. Let's just change this down to 0.5. Now, if we rerun it, and we look at the association rules, you can see that we did find one here. There is confidence of 0.828 that if somebody's involved in families and hobbies, they're also going to be involved in religious organizations. So when we had it set at 0.95, it got filtered out at this point. So you can play with this and move it around to different levels, and I encourage you to try that. Thanks much, and I hope I see you in other videos.